Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to completely shatter the illusion that school safety is just a feeling, a well-meaning policy, or a locked door. We're looking at a truly groundbreaking approach that transforms how we evaluate and actually guarantee the well-being of students in our educational institutions. If you've ever felt like school safety discussions rely just a bit too heavily on vague reassurances rather than hard facts, well, this Explainer is going to change the way you look at your local district forever. Okay, let's dive right into this. The source material we're unpacking today was developed specifically for local public school districts in Arkansas. But the principles, they are absolutely universal. Student safety is not a slogan, it's a system. The core realization here is that actual safety isn't just a promise repeated at a PTA meeting. It requires measurable, structural verification. We're going to look at how to strip away all that emotional rhetoric and apply an actual engineer's mindset to protecting our schools. So here's our roadmap for decoding this blueprint. First, we'll look at slogan versus system. Second, we'll introduce the TMQ framework. Third, we'll cover the 5 domains of safety. Fourth, we're uncovering a massive paradigm shift where success equals safety. And finally, we'll arm you with the first question. Section 1, slogan versus system, or perceived versus actual. We really need to confront the stark reality of how schools are currently handling safety efforts and, honestly, the critical flaw hiding right in plain sight. A lot of times, just having a policy is confused with having actual protection. And this brings us to a foundational concept known as the one-half rule. It basically asserts that half of all institutional efforts in any system are inherently less effective than the top-performing half. When you apply that to student safety, it means that a full 50% of a school's safety efforts are merely symbolic. We're talking generic signs, basic policies, unmeasured drills. Only the other 50%, the systemic efforts, actually produce measurable, reliable protection. So let's contrast these two concepts directly. On one side, you've got perceived safety. This is what is said. It's the verbal assurances, the reactive interventions, the policies sitting in a binder. On the flip side, you have actual safety. This is what is measured. It's the systems, the data, the continuous verification. You really have to ask yourself, is your school relying on perceived safety? Because as the source boldly states, unmeasured safety isn't safety at all. It's literally just an exposure concealed by language. Moving on to Section 2, the TMQ Framework. Target, meet, and qualify. If perceived safety is the problem, what on earth is the solution? Well, it's an engineer's blueprint for how schools must structurally guarantee safety, replacing reactive panic with proactive operations. But before we break down the letters TMQ, we need to understand the engine running this blueprint. It's based on a KANBAN pull system. Now, in this dynamic process, every single incident, every single delay in communication, every unresolved issue, it's treated as a signal of systemic failure, not just some random isolated bad day. Safety is maintained not by pretending these signals don't exist, but by responding to them without a single moment of delay. The system is literally pulled toward resolution. So here's what the TMQ framework looks like in action. Step 1, target. You absolutely must define the exact safety condition required, not a general concern, a specific targeted identification. Step 2, meet. You implement the standardized system that achieves that exact target. And step 3, qualify. You verify, you measure, and you audit the result. This specific progression completely eliminates ambiguity. It means a school can't just say they're safe. They have to structurally prove it. Section 3, the 5 domains of safety are core system areas. Now that we've got this TMQ tool in our back pocket, we're shifting focus to look at the specific operational areas where this framework has to be rigorously and continuously applied. We're talking about 5 critical domains: physical systems, behavioral and social safety, staff preparedness, communication systems, and preventative culture. The absolute crucial point here is that a failure in any of these isn't just a simple mistake, it's a dangerous systemic gap. Like if substitute teachers aren't trained in active threat response, or if a parent notification system gets delayed during an incident. Those aren't minor hiccups. According to the text, delayed communication is a system failure, and untrained staff equals a delayed response and increased harm. All right, Section 4, success equals safety, the unification principle. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is it prepares us for the biggest paradigm shift in the entire source text. It completely reframes how we look at everyday school data. The fundamental assertion here is that every true measure of student success is simultaneously a measure of student safety. It argues that a student simply cannot succeed in an unsafe system. Therefore, the metrics that schools already track, stuff like daily attendance, behavioral referrals, and academic consistency, are actually embedded safety diagnostics. Safety isn't some separate category over on the side, it's baked right into student performance. When you plug these numbers into a weekly safety performance tracker, the data just speaks volumes. Over 4 weeks, attendance stability is trending down, dropping from 92% to 87%. At the exact same time, behavioral incidents are trending way up, jumping from 12 to 21. Academic stability is also dropping. Now, in a traditional view, a principal might just shrug and say, kids are acting up this month. But through the TMQ lens, these are screaming KANBAN signals. A decline across these indicators is an early warning system showing environmental insecurity. Unreported behavior becomes predictable crisis. Finally, Section 5, the first question, the governing lens. If you're a parent, a student, or just a community stakeholder, this is where you get armed with the ultimate actionable weapon to take to your next school board meeting. What are the top 5 measurable performance indicators currently used to evaluate student success, and how are these tracked weekly and quarterly? When you ask this, you aren't just asking if students are safe. Anyone can say yes to that, right? You are demanding to see the system that proves they are safe. You're asking for the data, the trends, and the measurable improvements. When you ask that specific question, leadership is forced to expose which of these 2 scenarios they operate in. Scenario A, the system exists. The data is easily accessible, they know their trends inside and out, and safety is engineered. Or Scenario B, the system does not exist. The indicators they give you are super vague, the data is delayed or completely unavailable, and safety is basically just assumed. This exposure mechanism is incredibly powerful because it cuts right through all of the administrative double talk. So what happens if you realize they fall into Scenario B? The source provides the Parent Action Coalition, or PAC, escalation protocol. If the school fails to answer the first question properly, you don't just walk away. Step 1, you request the data in writing. Step 2, you request a follow-up meeting. Step 3, engage community awareness. Start sharing these findings publicly. And Step 4, escalate to state-level visibility. Accountability absolutely must be forced if it is not freely offered. I want to leave you with this final, incredibly provocative thought from the text. If a system cannot be explained, measured, and demonstrated, it does not exist. Think about your own school district for a second. When push comes to shove, do they have a system that protects or a system that pretends? Are they relying on catchy slogans, or can they actually show you the math? It is time to demand actual, measurable safety. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take these insights straight to your next community meeting. What are you going to ask them?